What's up, Juventini? Alberto here. I got all your Juventus news. Pogba getting the hammer from the prosecution. We're going to take a look at the details on that one. Rabiot and Chiesa. We get good news on the contract extension fronts for both players. And then Max Allegri tackles his press conference and conquers all questions, all right, around this club right now ahead of the massive game tomorrow against Napoli. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the AJC. Let's rock with it, all right? So we had a former president, Andrea Agnelli, celebrating his birthday, and now we have the current president, Gianluca Ferrero, celebrating his, all right? So tanti auguri go out to him. Again, many feel that him and Scanavino may just be interns until the full team is developed, but regardless, they've done a solid job so far in cleanup, in my opinion, and I like the direction this management is heading. You all saw my short yesterday praising the work they've done so far, and Giuntoli's receiving a lot of praise, but for me, he hasn't even begun to cook, all right? But the work that Ferraro and Scanavino have worked with in collaboration with Calvo, with Giuntoli and everything as far as cleanup has been top drawer, all right? And the team is remaining competitive up in top two, battling as we should with only one competition, setting ourselves up nice to at least get into Champions League again next season. All things are on the up, but Giuntoli hasn't even begun to start cooking. So good things awaiting Juventus. And don't forget, we have a big summer, okay? I'm calling a big summer. Still waiting for the new sponsorship for the kits. Could tie in to a minority shareholder buying into the club. We'll see what happens, all right? Now we get to Paul Pogba. 4 years is what the prosecution is asking for. We were hearing about the plea deal that would have split this in half. Apparently, the plea deal is not even open to him, and nobody knows why, but this thing is set to go to trial, and Paul facing the max 4 years penalty, all right? Right now, there are some fans not understanding the situation in full and upset that Juve is still paying salary and whatnot. The salary has been dropped to somewhere around 42,000 euros, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but he is definitely not receiving full pay from Juventus, so have no fear there. In the grand scheme of things, he's getting pocket change, all right, until this thing wraps up, and then ultimately will lead to the termination from Juventus, but they have to wait on this ruling, and that's the part that's most frustrating, is that this is going to go on for some time, as now we have to wait for this thing to enter trial. Prosecutors out of Roma are asking for financial documents, from Juventus, but it is involved in some of those outgoing cases, all right, with individuals that were with the club, all right, and the club is not under any new investigations, all right? So don't get it twisted out there, and some people, some chihuahuas, might be throwing bits at it here. Nothing to do with Juventus, individuals in separate cases, all right? Now, we get to contract extension talks, and Rabiot, we are now hearing that a 1 year at the same wages is on the table, and he apparently is happy to sign that. The only hurdle would be Champions League qualification, which doesn't look like it's going to be a problem now and probably isn't throughout the season. I easily expect Juventus to qualify for the Champions League next season. So look for Rabiot to be sticking around on another 1 year at the same wages. Still reports saying that Juve wants to push for 2 to 3, but we'll see what happens. Chiesa, the extension talks with him starting to take a more positive spin and turn, all right? So apparently he has given his yes to signing a 1 year contract extension with Juventus. This is going to now taking a turn in media as far as it's going to give them the grounds to work towards something more long-term. So finally we hear that Juve's end goal is to get him to somewhere around 2028 like the others, but they just need more time and might need more time in seeing what else develops with the club in order to free up the finances to bring his salary up, all right? And maybe, just maybe, Dusan Vlahovic has a lot to do with that and his future, because if he's unwilling to spread his salary out and that team looking to try and reduce wages here or spread them out to work the balance sheets a bit better, maybe his future, if it's away from Juventus, frees up the money that they want to put into Chiesa to extend him. Hey, It's all speculation now. We have to wait and see. But good news that Chiesa is willing to take that 1-year extension at Juventus. Now, we get Juve rumored to be watching Zielinski like a hawk. He could be coming up as a free agent in the summer. We heard about Anguissa, all right, and tied into Juve playing Napoli tomorrow and whatnot. But this one, Zielinski's been tied with Juventus for quite some time. And Juve's one of about 3 clubs in Serie A that have eyes on the situation, whether or not he renews with Napoli. So this one very much is solid. I do believe Juve is keeping tabs on what happens with Zielinski. Samardzic, the rumors today suggest the same that we heard before, that Juve has terms agreed with the player, but the deal is looking at being finalized for the summer. All right, so something I've been saying over the past couple days, we could easily go into a winter mercado with maybe nothing as far as players coming in. We will see, okay? Now, we have questions around fitness around certain players, but Max Allegri tackles it all in his press conference ahead of the huge match tomorrow. We're going to be live 8:30 a.m. Eastern time right here on YouTube, getting you hyped up for it, okay? Don't miss it. But Allegri, his presser, very, very strong and solid as always. 5 games to the halfway point. We have 2 direct clashes and a couple tricky away fixtures mixed in there. The goal is simply to have more points than last year. All right, as far as the fitness goes, he says Locatelli is fine. Everyone is recovered except for Timothy Weah. This Weah one, I think we finally reached a point where we can start asking what the heck is going on with Timothy Weah. Nonetheless, he will miss Juve Napoli, not finding himself on the team list. Max asked about Danilo. He says Danilo is good to go. I'll decide tomorrow between he and Sandro, or maybe I'll start both, he says, or one starts and the other comes in from the bench. Look, we know Max likes to keep his cards close to his chest. He is not going to let anything out with his lineup ahead of this Napoli game. He will keep Mazzarri guessing, all right? Now, Dusan, asked about Dusan. He said Dusan is fine. Penalties are missed, all right? But tomorrow, everybody's focus needs to be on Napoli as they are strong away from home. And they're going to come in, and it's going to be a very, very strong clash. And everyone's going to have to be focused and aware and not worry about anything mentally. As far as Cambiaso goes, he says, for Cambiaso, it doesn't matter if he's on the left or the right. It's indifferent to him. But for us, on the right, he becomes inverted more, which helps us develop the game. I can actually agree with that. Do you agree? I think he is proven to be a little bit more balanced on the right side. We'll see. Now, as far as Max goes, his expectations for this game, and also asked about the big loss last season, 5-1. Did you learn from that? And he says not so much just that game, but in general, we have learned as we had new players and they were still trying to adapt to Juventus, in which they have done so and very well now when you include names like Bremer, Gatti, etc. And he says, yes, we have learned, we have adapted more, we are more solid, more focused, and there's more of an understanding in the group together as one. For tomorrow, he says, I want to see a desire to win this game, and it will be a strong, strong game. He says, at Juventus, when you're at Juve, you have to live with the pressure, and that is the beauty of it. That statement alone, absolutely spot on. When we talk about Dusan and penalties and mentality and out of formation and out of setup, and this is why these guys aren't doing well. Look, at the end of the day, you're paid extremely well to do a job. You have to go out there and do the job to the best of your abilities, no matter what. The pressure will never escape you while being at Juventus. Tomorrow is a massive match. It's going to be all hands on deck. We've got good news for the health status, with Weah being the only one that is out. We will see what Max does with the starting lineup. Right now, early projections aren't even out yet, all right? So nobody's really touched the lineup. We will wait and see what develops. But tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, I hope to see you all here for the live show as we get pumped for what's going to be a massive, massive game. Can't wait to hear all your thoughts, how you're feeling, any early predictions. Let them in here in the comments section, all right? Let's mix it up. Let's get hyped up for this one. Until tomorrow, as always, fino alla fine, forza Juve. Ciao tutti.